Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmates. I am Jeremy Bill Minsa, a BS Ed Science student and one of the reporters for the topic Selecting and Constructing Test Items and Tasks. By the way, this is the continuation of my co-groupmates Krishna, Margaret Lim, and Janril Makasa. It's all about selecting and constructing test items and tasks. So let's begin. Okay, suggestions for constructing essay questions by Myler, Lin, and Gronland in 2009. First, we have restrict the use of essay questions to those learning outcomes that cannot be measured satisfactorily by objective items. Objective items cannot measure such important skills as ability to organize, integrate, and synthesize ideas, showing one's creativity in writing style. So we should restrict the use of essay questions to those learning outcomes if we all know that those essay questions cannot be measured satisfactorily by objective items to our students. Second is to construct questions that will call forth the skills specified in learning standards. A review of learning standards in school curricula will show that they range from knowledge to deep understanding. So we should construct questions that will call forth the skills specified in the learning standards. We should not just construct questions that is beyond the ability or the capability of the students, because in that way it doesn't help the students if we construct questions that beyond in their level. So number 3 is the praise the question so that the student's task is clearly defined. Restricted response type of essay questions especially states the specific task to be done in writing. As much as possible, the student should interpret the question in the same way according to what the teacher expects through the specifications in the questions. What do we mean by praise the question? The question is so long and the student find it difficult. We, the educator, should praise it, cut it, make it short so that the student can easily understand the task that we have given to them. Number 4, indicate an approximate time limit for each question. Why should we indicate an approximate time limit for each question? Well, in that way, we can measure the ability of the student on answering that question. And of course, knowing how much time is allotted to each one will make the students budget their time so they do not spend their time on the first question and consequently missing out on the others. So, practically speaking, giving them an approximate time limit for each question will help them or make them a student with time management, which is finishing that question and that approximate time that we give to them. Especially, for example, you give them an essay, one essay, and you just give them a 1 minute to finish that essay. For example, you give them a task, and of course, as a teacher or as an educator, we will also give them the time allotted so that they could finish that task in the time that we have given. Okay, so next is avoid the use of optional questions. Some teachers have the practice of allowing the students to select 1 or 2 essay questions from a set of 5 questions. Some disadvantages of this may include not being able to use the same basis for reporting test result, or students being able to prepare through memorization for those they will likely choose. Why should we avoid of using optional questions? It will only make the students, ay sa Tagalog pa, malilito sila kasi you give them optional questions. Marami silang pagpipilian. It's not good if we do that. Okay, so we have here the suggested descriptions of the label. Task: design a plan for an experiment showing the effect of amount of water on plant growth. Have the score criteria and the completeness of plan. So this is the rubrics. In label, we have outstanding. All parts of the plan, especially the procedure, are concisely and very satisfactorily described. Very good if all parts are given and satisfactorily described. And good if all parts are given but with minimal description. Fair if all parts are given but without description. And needs improvement if parts are incomplete and without description. Clear these rubrics in order to have good grades. Okay, so now let's proceed to the suggestions to improve the ability of scoring responses to essay questions by Myler, Lin, and Gronlund in 2009. First, we have prepare an outline of the expected answer in advance, particularly for restricted response type, which define specifically the task. Having a list of the expected responses, example, 3 principal or 2 theories to explain phenomenon, will be very useful to the teachers. Why should we prepare an outline of the expected answer in advance? So that in that way, we, the educator, will know, or we know advance of what will be the result or the outcome of our students' work. Second, use the scoring rubric that most appropriate. The nature of the essay questions and what is assessed should identify the type of scoring rubric that should be used. Yeah, of course, as an educator, as a teacher, we should use the scoring rubric that most appropriate. We shouldn't use another rubrics that didn't fit the task that you have given to them. Example, you give them a task of role playing. Of course, the rubrics you will give is in line to the task that you've given. So number 3, decide how to handle factors that are irrelevant to the learning outcomes being measured. As mentioned earlier in this chapter, scoring of essays should be influenced by irrelevant factors like spelling or handwriting. Teachers should decide in advance whether these factors are to be ignored or not. As an educator or as a teacher, we should know how to handle factors that are irrelevant to make it relevant to the learning outcomes. Because if we didn't have that talent on how to make or how to handle factors that are irrelevant and make it relevant, then we are not fit in teaching the students, because they are the future of our nation and we should know how to handle it. Okay, number 4, evaluate all responses to one questions before going on to the next one. Very likely, scoring of the subsequent question could be influenced by students' response to the preceding item. Consistency in scoring is better attained when comparison of responses of the members of the class to the same item is done. So why should we evaluate all responses to one question before going on to the next one? Because in this way, we will be able to measure the capability and ability of our student and address where they lack or where they are weak on, so that they can grow or they can make it better, and make it their strength, of course. And the number 5, when possible, evaluate the answers without looking at the student's name. An acceptable practice in testing is making students use a separate sheet for the response to the essay questions and make them write their names at the back of the answer sheet. Sometimes teachers could be influenced by who the student is, and some form of bias could happen in favor of better or popular students. Yes. Actually, as a student, I experienced this number 5. The favoritism or the bias happenings in a four corners of a room. So as much as possible, as an educator, we should not just base the owner of that paper, the person who make that essay or will make that task that we have given. We should not base on that person. Instead, we should base on the outcome, the content. Why? Why should we evaluate the answers without looking at the student's name? Because in that way, the teacher or the educator, na-i-influensyahan sila kapag alam nila na ito gawa ito ni blank, ganon. Tapos kahit hindi ganon kaganda yung gawa niya, kahit hindi ganon ka-informative yung gawa niyang essay or example o kahit anong gawain, since kilala niya itong taong to, bibigyan niya ito ng malaking marka. Kasi nga, yung taong yun is close niya or something like, alam niya, matalino to, siguro dito lang na part is hindi niya nabigay yung best niya. So, merong mga ganong instances na mangyayari talaga. So as much as possible, we the educator or the teacher should not base the work of our student on their name. We should base their work on itself, on how they make it. If it is informative or it is good enough to get a good grades, that's it. And 6, especially important decisions are to be based on the result obtained 2 or more independent ratings. Do away with scores bias, scoring could be reliably carried out by 2 independent raters, and the final score being the average of 2 ratings. If especially important decisions are to be based on the result, obtain 2 or more independent ratings. Why? Because we all know that result itself doesn't define the ability of your students. We all know that their result is not that parang may mali, ganon. So of course, gagawa ka ng paraan para itama mo yun or magawan mo yun ng paraan kung paano masusolusyonan ang bagay na yun. Let's proceed. Constructing selected response types. It entails choosing the nearly best or most correct option to answer a problem. One of the most important advantages in the ability to test a wider range of materials than constructed response type items. Okay, we have 3 subtypes of the selected response. First is the alternate form or binary choice provides only 2 options. Next is the multi-choice type offers 3 to 5, sorry for the wrong spelling, it's 3 to 5 options or solutions to a problem. And C, its matching type gives a set of problems or promises and a set of options which will be appropriately paired. Okay, so binary choice or alternate form. It is a choice in which there are only 2 alternatives. Example, yes or no, do or don't do. It is a closed question with only 2 answers. For example, yes or no. Okay, so we have here the varieties of binary choice. True or false, we have statement or proposition. The planets of the solar system revolve around the sun. It is true or false? And yes or no direct question. Do the planet of the solar system revolve around the sun? The answer could be yes or no. Right or wrong? A computation, an equation, or a statement. Factors of 18 are 2, 3, 6, and 9. It is right or wrong. The correction, proposition which will be correct if incorrect. For example, the biggest planet in the solar system is the Earth. It is right or wrong. Well, the correct answer is the Jupiter and not the Earth. Multiple true or false. A multiple choice term is given with statements to be judged as true or false. For example, Ebola virus is really transmitted because, first, it is airborne. True or false? It is transmitted through body liquids. True or false? So, when we say binary choice, it is again a choice or a closed questions that could be only answered by two. Like this one, the true or false, the yes or no, the right or wrong, or the true or false again. So it could be answered like that one. We encounter binary choice, just always remember that it is answerable by yes or no, true or false, like that. Okay, suggestions given to construct good binary choice items by Macmillan in 2007 and Musiel in 2009. Okay, so number 1, write the item so that the answer options are consistent with the logic and sentence. Okay, 4 and 6 are factors of 24. That is a yes or a no. 6 and 4 are factors of 26. It is correct or incorrect in good. We have focus on a single fact or idea in the item. Adding more than one idea in the statement can make the item ambiguous. One idea may be correct and the other one may be incorrect. So focus on the main point. Focus on the single fact and no more kara-kara. Just focus on your main point. Okay, so we have here in 4, true or false? Right to suffrage is given to citizens in a democratic country in order to enjoy economic gains. Okay, so in good we have true or false. Citizens in a democratic society have the right to suffrage. Next one, avoid long sentences. Unnecessarily long and wordy statements obscure the significant idea. No one really wants to read long sentences because they are more harder to understand and your student can't remember how the sentence began. And we all know if that sentence is so long, the audience or your student will feel boredom. They will bored and the information you give to them will not be taken by their brain because the sentence is too long. So we should avoid long sentences. Okay, in 4, like this one, true or false, criterion referred tests are interpreted based on a standard that determines whether students have reached an acceptable level or not. So in better, True or false standards are used to interpret criterion reference tests. So, in this example, you can see the poor one, which is so long. The sentence is way long. While the better one, it is a short sentence, being shortened in order to make it or to avoid the long sentence. The next one is avoid insignificant or trivial facts or words. Students commit errors not because they do not know, but due to unnecessarily facts, because it is unimportant. So we should stick to important things and not with trivial, with insignificant, because it doesn't help the student on learning. If we use the trivial, the insignificant information, it doesn't help at all. So like this one, in poor, true or false, legumes, beans, and nuts should be avoided by people who are suffering from gout, whether inherited or not from their parents. So in better, true or false, legumes, beans, and nuts should be avoided by people with gout. So you can see the difference between two. The first one, which is the poor one, is a trivial and insignificant facts or words, while the better one is the perfect one, of course. Okay, avoid negative statements. Statements with not or no are confusing to your readers. Like this one, in poor, true or false, all European nations are not in favor of joining the European Union. And better one, true or false, all European nations are in favor of joining the European Union. So you can see the opposite of these two. The first one, which is the poor, shows a negative statement, while the better one shows the positive statement. Okay, avoid inadvertent clues to the answer. Items using such as words as never, always, all the time, all, etc. are most of the time false and are recognized by wise students. For example, in poor, true or false, essay tests are never easy to score. And better, true or false, essay tests are different to score. So, avoid inadvertent clue to the answer. The last but not the least, and suggestions given to construct good binary choice items is avoid using vague adjectives and adverbs, because it may be viewed as misleading by the student if we use these vague adjectives and adverbs. For example, this one is poor. True or false? People from cold countries typically drink wine every day. And better one, we have true or false. People from cold countries are fond of drinking wine. And that's all for my part. Thank you for watching. And it will be continued by Miss Manilod Althea, the chapter 8, selecting and constructing test items and tasks. Thank you.